Hi friends, this is Satish Kumar Singh, working as section officer in Ministry of Finance, Department of Financial Services, and I have decided to prepare a video for the ready reference of all the central government officials who either take the opportunity to either work as a defense assistant, inquiry officer, or unfortunately the charged official. The charge sheet pattern I will share in brief in this video because this is my first video, and I would try my best to clear each and every point related and involved in the disciplinary proceedings. So in this video I will talk the basics of charge sheets in central government, and I'm sure that the central government is the nodal employer across the country, and the same procedure or technique is followed in all other establishments like banks, state governments, and other financial institutions. So I request you all to subscribe my channel and follow me for forthcoming videos. So let's friend begin. Charge sheet is issued by the disciplinary authority against the charged officials who are working under his administrative control. The charge sheet can be divided in two parts. One is minor charge sheet and another one is major charge sheet. In Central Secretariat Service, Central Civil Services Classification Control and Appeal Rules, in short CCS CCA Rules 1965, minor penalties are dealt under Rule 16 of these rules. In case of minor penalty, the charged official is asked to submit his reply with regard to the allegations framed against him with the approval of the disciplinary authority. And after he submits his reply within the stipulated time, it is for the disciplinary authority to take a call whether he thinks it appropriate to constitute an inquiry and appoint an inquiry officer and presenting officer, or alternatively he can take a decision to impose any of the minor penalties specified under Rule 11 of CCA Rules 1965. But in the case of major penalty proceedings, it becomes binding on the disciplinary authority to consider the reply of the charged official, and thereafter he is required to drop the charges. But in other case, if he intends to impose a penalty against the charged official, he requires to constitute an inquiry on mandatory basis. In this regard, he issues orders to appoint an inquiry officer and presenting officer to conduct the inquiry against the charged official for the charges which are not admitted by the charged official. After appointment as inquiry officer is supposed to conduct the inquiry in coordination with the charged official and presenting officer. First of all, he issues a notice for conducting the preliminary inquiry, and he facilitates the inspection of records by the charged official, and he also gives an opportunity to the charged official to engage a defense assistant as admissible under the rules. I am asking as admissible because in case if the presenting officer appointed by the disciplinary authority is not from the legal background, the right of charged official to engage a legal professional as his defense assistant is seized. And in other cases, if the nature of the charge sheet is so that it warrants the engagement of a legal professional as a defense assistant, disciplinary authority at his own or with the approval of disciplinary authority can allow the request of the charged official to engage even a legal professional as his defense assistant. Thereafter, the inquiry is proceeded further by the inquiry officer and he summons the prosecution witnesses listed particularly at the annexure 3 of the charge sheet and he calls them one by one. These prosecution witnesses are also called state witness or prosecution witness. In short, it is called PW1, PW2, etc. In other words, it can also be treated as SW1, SW2, etc. One technical thing is here, the prosecution witnesses are examined first by the presenting officer before the inquiry officer and in presence of the charged official and his defense assistant if allowed by the IO. Okay. After examination of the prosecution witness, which is done one by one, not more than one prosecution witness can be called at a time by the inquiry officer during the course of inquiry. After the examination of the prosecution witness by the presenting officer is concluded, charged official is required to be given an opportunity to cross-examine the depositions made by the prosecution witness and if felt appropriate, the presenting officer can again be given an opportunity to re-examine the prosecution witness to rule out any scope of ambiguity in the depositions made during the course of inquiry. Once all the listed prosecution witnesses are examined before the IO by the presenting officer, the defense witness opted by the charged officials are called by the IO for examination by the defense witness or through his defense assistant engaged or allowed to be engaged by the IO. The same procedure is followed to examine the defense witnesses. And here, one thing to be noted, the first examination, that is called examination is chief, is to be done by the charged official or through his defense assistant, not by the presenting officer. People who are newly appointed as IO do this mistake and they usually allow the examination of the defense witness through presenting officer, which is a blunder and it can put your entire inquiry report on a stake and on judicial scrutiny your report will not sustain. Same procedure after examination of defense witness by the charged official or through his defense assistant, the opportunity to cross-examine the depositions made by the defense witness is given to the presenting officers who cross-examines the defense witness and final opportunity to re-examine the depositions made by the defense witness is given finally to the charged official. Thereafter, the inquiry proceedings are concluded and after depositions examination of all the prosecution witnesses, defense witnesses, the IO gives direction to presenting officer who represents the disciplinary authority during the inquiry proceedings that he should prepare his written brief within a stipulated time and he can also give a direction to the presenting officer to share his brief with the charged official. Charged official is given an opportunity to submit his written submission before the inquiry officer within the stipulated time. However, due precaution is taken and CO is well informed that if he fails to submit his representation within the stipulated time, his IO will prepare his report without taking cognizance of the submission made thereafter by the charged official and he is not required to wait for indefinite time for preparing his report. Now friends, it's the high time for the IO, inquiry officer, to conclude his report. And first of all, I would like to say there is no prescribed format for preparation of inquiry reports, but there is some basic principle for judgment writing. It's like a judgment, and IO should take due precaution. And first of all, he should share the introduction as to how he is preparing his report. I mean to say that he can share the authority by which he has been authorized to conduct this inquiry. Thereafter, he should give some brief of the charge sheet. Thereafter, he should narrate the details of the inquiry proceedings and steps taken during the course of inquiry by him. Thereafter, he should come to the presenting officer briefs, and he should mention the gist of the presenting officer brief. Thereafter, IO is required to mention the representation made by the charged official, if any, on the findings of presenting officer in his representation thereafter. Thereafter, it comes the assessment of evidences by the IO. IO should apply his independent mind to ascertain whether he is convinced to held any charges as proved or not proved. And one thing I would like to add here, that the disciplinary proceedings in the government against the government employees are not a proving of criminal offense, and here IO has been given a discretion to held the charges proved on the basis of preponderance of probability. This term is new. Here, I would like to elaborate in one to two lines, because preponderance of probability gives the power to IO to apply his own mind, and if he is of the firm opinion on the basis of evidences made and documents produced during the course of inquiry, he is not required to find incontrovertible proof against the charged official. And if his conscience is allowing him that the charged official is guilty, no one can compel him to adduce the incontrovertible proof against the charged official, and he can held the charges as proved. One precaution for the IO I would like to add, that sometimes IO goes excited and he recommends the quantum of punishment, which is totally beyond his scope, and it is totally for the disciplinary authority to take a call on your inquiry report. So don't do this mistake. One mistake which is frequently done by the inquiry officer, I would like to highlight: you are not supposed to share a copy of inquiry report with the charged official. If you are doing a mistake. Okay, so kindly take a note of it. IOS is bound to conduct his inquiry within 6 months from the date of his appointment, and he is required to submit his report in duplicate or triplicate to the disciplinary authority only, or through before his authorized representative. After receipt of inquiry report, disciplinary authority take a call and peruse. After perusal, he can decide 3 to 4 actions. Either he can remand back the inquiry report to the IO for some corrections if there is some apparent mistake in the inquiry report, or if disciplinary authority is of the opinion that IO is biased and he is trying to give undue advantage to the charged official, and he has not concluded the inquiry proceeding in a proper manner, disciplinary authority can entirely reject your inquiry report, and he can order for de novo. De novo means to constitute a fresh inquiry. Okay, and in one case is to remand back the case to the IO for corrections. Another case is to constitute a fresh inquiry, that is called de novo. And third one is to accept the inquiry report if it is in order. Generally, it is done. Once it is accepted by the disciplinary authority, the disciplinary authority is duty bound under the provisions of Rule 15.2 of CCA Rule 1965 to share a copy of the inquiry report again with the charged official, with an opportunity to him to represent against the findings of the IO and the logics given by the inquiry officer in his report. After receipt of representation from the charged official on inquiry report, disciplinary authority takes a final call with regard to either exonerate the charged official if he is satisfied with the submissions of the charged official, or he can take a decision to impose a penalty against the charged official. Thereafter, the inquiry proceeding is said to be culminated and charged official gets again an opportunity to file an appeal with the appellate authority defined generally in the recruitment rules of the said post which he is holding, and he can file an appeal in the prescribed format with support all supporting documents within the prescribed timeline. However, after the lapse of the prescribed period, it is the prerogative of the appellate authority to condone the filed delay in filing the appeal by the charged official if he is satisfied that there is a valid and a cogent reason which is which compelled the charged official causing delay in filing his appeal. Hence, I think this is enough for first video, and I will keep updating you with the latest provisions issued by the nodal authorities, and requesting once again to like and subscribe my channel and promote me so that I can it can give motivation for me to make more videos. Thank you. Bye bye.